In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 distinct advantages of the Cobra Framebuilding Creator Frame Fixture that not every other frame fixture has. Some of them are exclusive to this fixture. Let's get into it. Number 1, the modability / the versatility of this fixture is really good. This thing can do a very wide variety of bikes. As it sits, the length of this extrusion is 1600 millimeters, which is kind of bonkers. You can do a very, very progressive, like long front end mountain bike on this thing in the stock configuration. You can do tall head tube, long seat tube, pretty long rear end. And in addition to all of that, this is such a moddable platform in a number of ways. You can buy longer extrusions. If you wanted to, you can just loosen the extrusion and bias it one way or another. Our resources page tells you how to put it back to factory specs. If you wanted to do a really long rear end bike, longer than what this could accommodate, you can just crack these bolts loose and slide this forward and then translate your numbers for the coordinate positions. This thing is so versatile. This piece here is not a piece of T-slot extrusion that you can just buy. We make this. I made a better rear end, so I scrapped the T-slot extrusion back in the design phase, and I included this solid piece with the T-slot that I machine. So you can't just buy this one longer, except that you can remove these screws and you can flip it upside down, and so and then it extends this direction, which would be really a weird circumstance where you would need to do that, but you can. There's just a lot of flexibility that's built into this platform. Additionally, you have T-slots all along all the faces of the extrusions, and T-slots, all you need is a T-nut and a screw, and you can fasten all sorts of stuff to it. So I have all sorts of seat stay holders and adapters that are just about ready, chain stay holders, different things that just bolt on. But in the case of, for instance, Reeb cycles in Lyons, Colorado, they got one of the earlier ones and they couldn't wait for that. They made some of their own stuff and they just clipped it right in. They didn't have to drill and tap holes or change the fixture. It's just like a erector set, and you can just add all this stuff to it. Today, I had this idea that I wanted to make a Sharpie holder. I just thought it would be cool. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make it hold an Allen wrench too. And so I 3D printed this part for next to no cost. And then I used a fastener that costs about 50 cents and a T-nut that costs about 50 cents. These are all McMaster. You can buy everything here from McMaster Car for a couple bucks and put it on. And so it's really limited to your imagination. You don't need to drill holes. You don't need to get crazy with it. This is also a standard feature as of today on the frame fixture. I'm just going to include these, and there'll be an STL file on my website for anybody who wants one. I think it's really cool how versatile this platform is, because when you build bikes, you're not just building them, like a traditional road bike with the set geometry. People like to do weird stuff, and I encourage that, and I think this fixture encourages that as well. Number 2, this has to do with the orientation of the fixture. There's no other commercially available fixture on the market that I know of at this time that has this same fixture orientation, and I think there are some distinct benefits to the way that this is laid out. So if you imagine a coordinate plane where x, y, 0, 0 is right here, this would be your x-axis and this would be your y-axis, and that's how the fixture works. This is 0, 0, this is x, and this is y, and as you change your head tube angle, you can imagine the whole thing kind of tilting back, and so your y-axis just tilts so that the y-axis is always parallel to the head tube. Now, the reason this matters is that it does several things that I think are distinct advantages. The first thing that it does is it eliminates one of your angular variables. So most fixtures have a seat tube angle and a head tube angle, and the main axis of the fixture stays level to the ground. When you do it like this, you can get rid of one of those angular variables, and when you've done that, it allows you fewer pieces in your stack up, so there's fewer parts to make, to ship, to quality control, to mate up with each other. Every time you have a tolerance stack up of more pieces, there's an opportunity for lack of rigidity and for lack of the precision of the whole instrument, basically. And so you look at a lot of fixtures, they'll be kind of like this, and then there's a neck that sticks up to lift up this sort of axis on the horizontal up toward the head tube, and at that junction there's an opportunity for loss of rigidity and loss of accuracy between the pieces. So I think this is a smart design because it just eliminates pieces and it makes it a simpler assembly to achieve the same rigidity and the same like position of all the parts of your frame. But additionally, if you look at it in position, you're looking from the head tube to the dropouts, you actually have this one super beefy, super burly piece of 80 millimeter by 160 millimeter extrusion. This piece alone weighs 40 or 50 pounds. It's very heavy, it's very stiff. It has a wide cross section. This one piece goes from essentially your dropouts all the way to your head tube. And so depending on the geometry of your bike, these coordinates will be in different places, but most other fixtures have to translate from the dropouts to the head tube through a couple pieces that snake back and forth. They're kind of like jogging up and down in the X and Y axis. Whereas this one, your primary extrusion essentially runs a diagonal line pretty closely from the one point to the other. It makes the whole thing really stiff and really solid, and I think that matters. I think any little bit of force that goes into this stuff from one tube being longer than the other, or any bit of body weight as you're resting your hands getting ready to weld, that makes a difference, and it can deflect things, and you really do want a rigid fixture that can hold stuff where it's supposed to hold it, square and all that stuff. So I think that's an advantage of this system. It's really simple to lay out in CAD. The outputs are spit out directly from BikeCAD and from RattleCAD. It's not hard to derive the numbers, but I think it just makes a really sensible system, and nobody else has this. Number 3, when you go to buy a frame fixture, generally you do not have a choice between the drive side in or the drive side out orientation, which is to say, in this case, the drive side of the bike is against this extrusion, the head tube is on this end, dropouts there, but you can imagine a mirror image of this where things were flipped. I offer both versions of this fixture, drive side in or drive side out. There's no cost difference. It's mostly preference. It does have a little bit of difference when it comes to the way that you would check for chainring clearance, but or the way that you might weld on a disc brake tab. There's subtle differences. I think it's mostly preference. It's based on what you're used to. It's based on maybe you're right-handed and it's a little bit more comfortable to weld around one way versus another, that sort of thing. And I think another big consideration is that if you look at the bike in BikeCAD or you look at photos of bikes, typically you're looking at the drive side toward you as the viewer with the head tube on the right side. And some people really don't like looking at the bike with this sort of reversed orientation where the head tube is on the left. And that's fine, you don't need to. Other people feel like they really want that drive side datum against the fixture, the drive side of the bottom bracket shell. And me personally, I would choose this orientation just because the way that you check for chainring clearance, I think makes more sense to me and it's a little bit easier. But whatever floats your boat, we can support you in your choice. Number 4, when you order this thing, you're not just ordering a kit. You're going to get this, we basically build this entirely in our shop, and we do all of our quality control checks on this. Then we do the minimal amount of disassembly. We package the hell out of it. It takes a lot of time and resources to get this packaged well. And then we can ship it anywhere in the world in those boxes. We've shipped these to Australia. We've shipped these to Canada, United States, I think the UK already. We've shipped these a bunch of places with great success. We had to learn a little bit in the beginning, but we got it nailed down. And basically, when you get it, this should be something that you can rely on to help you make good work. This shouldn't be a question mark where you're doubting whether or not, is this how it's supposed to work? Is this, you shouldn't have those thoughts in your head. You should have something that you have some confidence in. When I was originally going to release this, I thought it would be a kit. I thought I would just put the machine components in a box and send them off, and you guys would watch a YouTube video about how to assemble it. And there's just a lot of issues with that. This extrusion does not always come perfect from the supplier, and it is a pain in the butt. Getting them to send you replacement stuff and getting it fixed and arguing through all that and waiting for it to show up. We take care of that. We don't ship any of the stuff that comes with damage, and we've been putting a lot of work into getting that straightened out, but you don't have to deal with that is the point. All the hardware and everything fits. Sometimes when we go to assemble stuff that should be good, we catch things that otherwise we wouldn't catch. And if a customer did have an issue in their shop, but we weren't the ones who put it together, it would be so hard over the phone or over email to assess what the problem was. But when we ship something that we actually have looked over and inspected, we can feel a lot better about it. I have this big inspection plate over there. I bought a stand for that recently, but anyway, that is something that we can use that's big enough to inspect all of these chunks of extrusion and the whole stack up of the assembly, so that what we ship is actually legit and you can use it to make bikes and not be, basically you just don't want to chase your tail with stuff. You don't want a process that's going to make you like do stuff over and over again, or wonder which part of the process is working and which part isn't. And I think because of the way that we ship these, you can have a lot of confidence in the product, and I think that's worth a lot. Number 5, the speed of shipping and the availability of like support from us, I think is really good on this fixture. So we're a small company, but we focus entirely on frame building tools. It's me and my full-time employee, Zach, and a very well-equipped shop, and this is all we do. Basically, when you order a tube bender from us or the other stuff, we generally can ship it within like a day or two pretty easily. This is a new product, and there's been a little bit of a learning curve getting these to ship quickly, making sure everything is in stock, some of the issues with supply chain stuff for this extrusion, but generally we can ship these in like 2 weeks or less, and I want to get that down to 2 days, and we'll get that real soon. It's not hard for us to have these on the shelf ready to go. We have the human resources and the machinery to do that. When you talk about like head tube adapters and bottom bracket adapters, you're going to want to be able to buy those at a moment's notice to finish a project that you have coming up. And we have that stuff on the shelf, in the drawer, ready to go. We ship DHL to all over the world, a lot of USPS domestically, whatever you want, we can ship it, we can get it there quickly. If you need something custom or something that we run out of stock, we generally have the material on the rack here. I know how to run the CNC lathe. It's all done in-house. So like we don't job stuff out with like 6-8 week lead times. I can turn stuff around the same day a lot of times for something that's stainless steel. If it's aluminum, the anodizing adds some lead time, but like we really have a well-oiled machine here to produce stuff to a high level of quality and quickly. And if you need like an adapter that we don't have, I'll make it as quick as I can for you and get it out. And also I will say that when I get emails and questions about the fixture from someone who's like ready to buy, invariably they ask me how soon I can ship. Like it's just always relevant to the buyer, how quickly they can get it, and I think that we can deliver on this really well. And I think even as we get busy, the moments when we are busy, we have the resources to like really do pretty well considering. Also, I will say the dummy axle standard, this is based on the Anvil Bikeworks standard. I made this fit exactly the same as Don did. I talked to him about his standard, his tolerance for manufacturing. But basically, you can buy these from Lycan Precision, Bike Fab Supply, Paragon Machine Works. I think there's a couple others that are making those. If ever there is an issue getting these and people can't get them and they need to, I have a really good 2-axis lathe and 4-axis mill, and I could make the hell out of those. There's just no need for me to do that right now. But if ever there's like a shortage of these, I'll be happy to do that and jump right on that. People already had a bunch of these, and I wanted to make the fixture support a standard that people already know, love, use. And so really I think when you're looking at a fixture, you're not just looking at the one product that you might eventually get. You're looking at, can I get it when I need it, and can I get the support when I need it on an ongoing basis from someone who can actually service my needs. And I just think we have a shop that is very well equipped to deliver on that. So that's just 5 of the primary ones. This is a great product. You can read all about it at CobraFramebuilding.com. I'm really happy to talk to anybody about this. Emails, we can get on the phone. I'm just like a nerd about tools and talking about frame building stuff anyway, but I love to help someone make the right decision for them, even if you don't want to buy mine. I just love talking about this stuff. Hope you found the video helpful. Subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.